because we win, that is our motto. Sometimes we win, sometimes we don't win. Don't give us the bird, don't give us your sting eye. We try our best and we're successful. Come watch our show, Bet River sponsors. It's time to start, enjoy the show. Come watch our show, Bet River sponsors. It's time to start, enjoy the show.
Well, welcome aboard everyone to Betting Weekly Live. It's Christmas Eve and you're with Steve Wyss, and I'm delighted to be joined by RJ. Have you got all your presents wrapped, my man?
Hey, Steve. Happy Christmas Eve. I do not. So shortly after this recording here, I'm going to be getting some presents wrapped and getting ready to spend some time with family, unwind a little bit, and enjoy an odd, quiet day in sports here.
Well, do you know what? I've not had a bet today on anything. I've looked, and I've not had a single bet, which is
it's a rarity.
A little bit unusual for me in some respects. But we do have some sporting action tomorrow on Christmas Day in the NFL, and I'm going to pick your brains about two massive games there, and also we're going to look at some NFL division winners, and then we don't have a live show tomorrow, but we do have a Boxing Day special with me and Nigel. So we're going to have a look and see what's in your stocking of hopefully a few winners here, RJ. But wishing everyone well if you're watching live or on demand. Someone might be catching up here on Christmas Day on the show, when to stay out of the in-laws' reach or something like that. So wherever you're watching from, wishing you a very Merry Christmas. But Christmas Day, it's become a thing now with these NFL matches, and we've got two fixtures that's going to be streamed on Netflix. This is the first time, I do believe, and I mean they've paid a lot of money for these rights. I think $150 million for the rights. We've got all sorts of stuff. We've got Mariah Carey on initially. We've got Beyonce on at halftime in the Ravens game. It's going to be a big show, and hopefully they don't mess it up like they did the Paul fight.
Hope not.
But we start with the Chiefs at the Steelers, and this is a tasty game. Really, the Chiefs, if they win, will lock up the number one seed, effectively giving them 3 weeks off. To some degree, which I mean that in itself could be a problem in terms of rustiness, but you want to lock up the number one seed. You don't want to be going to Buffalo at all this time of year. So the Chiefs do go to the Steelers, minus 162 on the money line, actually minus 159 now. So there's been a very slight drift since this graphic was made a few hours ago. We've got a spread total. It's generally around the -3 +3. Although minus 2.5 +2.5 is very obtainable as well. Quite a low points total, over under 44. Check the weather forecast. It's not too bad. A little bit cold in Pittsburgh, but this is not a place known for great weather this time of year. I mean, initially my feeling here, just as a casual sort of NFL observer, better that the Chiefs surely. I mean, they've only lost one game. Surely they win the game at least. It's just a question if they're going to cover the spread or not. But the Steelers are fighting for the division. If they win the last two games, they clinch the division. I mean, how do you see this one going? And just a big point before, I think the injury status of George Pickens has got to be crucial here for the Steelers. Their offense looks completely different without him, and when he plays on the field. So at the minute he's questionable, but there's a lot of positive points about Pickens. I mean, how important is he for you, for the Steelers, and which direction do you see this game going?
Yeah, first off, Steve, it's important. You mentioned Netflix. These games are on Netflix, so make sure wherever you're going, your in-laws, or you have your Netflix password handy if you need to log in and down an app. It's kind of unfortunate, in my opinion. It's good that some of these games are branching out to streaming services, but it's kind of a nightmare, especially around the holidays. So, but I guess most people do have Netflix. So, yeah, Steve, looking at this game, I put a model together over the last 6 or 7 weeks, and I try to factor in injuries, home field advantage, where the status of the team is, like what's the motivation. And honestly, it's interesting, and I'm sure a lot of people disagree. And the Chiefs have won 5 straight, right? They're looking to lock up the number 1 seed in the AFC, which, as you state, effectively gives them a few weeks off. It's going to be very difficult to travel through Kansas City. You know, it's tough going against Patrick Mahomes. He reminds me of Tom Brady. I'm a Patriots fan, right? Where it's almost automatic, almost guaranteed that he will come up with a performance and take the team over the edge. But as you stated, Pittsburgh's battling for the division. And honestly, I mean, the biggest concern or the risks here right now is Pittsburgh getting slightly healthier and Kansas City is getting slightly more banged up, right? Chris Jones, defensive tackle, is questionable. He did not practice the last 2 days. He has a bit of a calf injury. There's some slight optimism for him, but it's not guaranteed that he's going to suit up and play a full game. I know that's at least what I saw a little bit about a couple hours ago. And then there's also concern over the left tackle, DJ Humphries, with a hamstring injury, right? So he's a critical piece to that line along with Joe Thuney. And these absences could impact Patrick Mahomes, who was battling a bit of an ankle injury. How mobile will he be? I mean, I think he's probably he fights through it. He always usually comes through. So I don't think he's too hampered. But if Chris Jones does not play for Kansas City, which it's looking 50-50, he's first in the NFL amongst pressures. He's first in hurries, and he's first in pass rush against defensive, in terms of defensive tackles. He's basically the elite of the defensive linemen, and this would be a massive blow for the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, looking at the other side, there's strong optimism that George Pickens will play. In fact, it looks almost likely that George Pickens will suit up. Pittsburgh Steelers, I was on the Ravens over the weekend. Pittsburgh is a completely different team without Pickens. One might think that they sort of peaked a few weeks ago and they're dropping down, but I mean, they haven't had any offensive production. Russell Wilson is honestly a bit of a wild card, but you bring Pickens back in. If Chris Jones is out, they're missing an offensive tackle. This is an interesting matchup. I think, personally, I prefer, and what I do like here, I'm on Pittsburgh +3 at home at -117 right now on Bet Rivers. I have this line to be around -1, -0.5 based on kind of the adjusted line with my model. And I mean, looking at the Pittsburgh defense, Steve, they're number 2 in takeaways. So what that is it's a turnover differential. So it's the number of interceptions and giveaways compared to the takeaways. And Pittsburgh is +17. So they're second in the league, only behind Buffalo. So like I said, you got Larry Ogunjobi, Dante Jackson's expected to play. George Pickens is expected to play. The Steelers are getting healthier. Coming off of 2 losses against very difficult teams on the road, right? Baltimore, who is a bit of a wild card, but Baltimore has been playing pretty strong. Philadelphia, they come home on Christmas Day. The terrible towels will be flying, and I think as good as Kansas City is, and what they're battling for, what both these teams battling for, I think it's going to be a rock fight. And the Steelers, I think, edge out, or at least cover the spread. I'm not saying they win, but I think they cover the spread here at +3. I think that's a fairly generous number for them at home on Christmas Day.
Would that be a sort of a decent bet for you, or just a lean?
No, it's a bet.
The strong bet. Official RJ pick, Steelers +3.
It's a pick for me. Yeah, it's the only official NFL pick I have right now. Tomorrow, and again, it really interested to see who actually suits up for both these sides tomorrow. But Pittsburgh looks most players look like a full go, but there's definitely concern around Chris Jones and Humphries for sure.
Santa Claus, Merry Christmas to you, and Paul Laguna as well. Merry Christmas to you, my man. What do you think about this Steelers game? Jack Wright as well on the show recently. Yesterday had a fantastic set of winners, actually. Jack Wright, brilliant analysis there. Do check out his Boxing Day plays on yesterday's show for the lower leagues as well. Bastian Costa, what a good stats sites like Footy Stats, but for US sports, for NFL. what's the best one? I use ESPN quite a bit, but there's loads of them, isn't they, out there? I used to use a fantasy site actually for NFL stats because they were so in depth that they gave some very good angles. So I don't know if you got any suggestion there, RJ.
First off, Merry Christmas to everyone in the chat. Sorry if I seem a little distracted. I believe a mouse just went by, so I'm a little thrown off right now at the moment. Yeah, and I'm not a big fan of mice. Not quite sure how we got in, but yeah.
A mouse just went past you.
Oh well, I was just looking and I saw something crawling a little to the left here, and it's certainly Anyways, it kind of threw me
you
off.
need to get a cat. You need to.
I have my dog. He's upstairs. Don't worry. He'll come down. I might have to send the wife down with the dog, but yeah. So yeah. Again, Merry Christmas, everyone. I think for football, Pro Football Reference is pretty good, right? It's a database of stats, so you can kind of look at points for, points against, recent form. But again, it's really about adjusting on almost a week-to-week basis, right? It's based on injuries. It's based on home away, right? That always matters, right? There's a couple points I'd say you'd add at least 2 or 3 points for home field advantage, depending on where you go, right? Seattle's a tough place to go. Denver's a tough place to go for some teams. There's a lot to it, but Pro Football Reference is a pretty good one, Bastion, that I refer to.
Yeah. But what about the points total here? 44. Would you be looking at over or under, do you think, or is it right on the mark?
It's right on the mark, in my opinion. I think it's going to be a battle. I don't have a lean either way, Steve. I don't want to sway anyone in a certain direction. I guess just based on recent form and stats, I might have to lean under, but it's.
What concerned me about the under was that we might get like a defensive touchdown or a special teams touchdown to thwart. Like offensively,
Right.
We might lack points, but this is the sort of game where the Steelers' defense is very good, and I think the Chiefs' defense sometimes is underrated from what I see. So that would always concern me, or if not, not a pick six, but a pick that gets taken back, within 10 yards or something of the touchdown line, and that's the problem. Sometimes if you're going on the under, you can nail it with your offensive read of the game, but the defense is step up and make your life an absolute nightmare. But
absolutely,
we've got touchdown scorers as well that you can back here. Pickens there plus 155 anytime. Travis Kelce plus 163. No touchdown scorers 80-1. We did have a match recently where there was no touchdown. But if you had to, if I give you a free $10 bet here, RJ, would there be a name that would stand out for you? Maybe, it might not be the sort of game there's a lot of touchdowns, in fairness. So it's a tricky one.
Yeah, I would probably go Jaylen Warren plus 235. I saw some decent stats for him. There's a couple different prop sites that I use and a couple different kind of models that I've work with. I do like Pickens. I think Pickens, if he plays, is the strongest play there. It's just him being out for a few games against his team. It's tough. But Najee or Jaylen Warren would be my two top picks if I had a free $10 bet for anytime scores.
Very good indeed. So Steelers plus 3. That's RJ's official play there. Ebenezer Scrooge, Merry Christmas to you as well. And RotoWire, I've come across that before. I think that's a decent stats site for these American sports. Whatever the result, if just say the Chiefs win, we don't obviously want them to win. We don't like if they cover the spread, it doesn't matter. That's right. My perfect result here. Chiefs by 1 or 2. That will do me nicely. But if the Steelers do lose, both of these teams, the Ravens and the Texans, actually will be perking up. The Ravens especially, because then the division will be in their hands if they win out. And I do believe the Texans could actually nick the 3rd seed, potentially off the Steelers as well. There's not a massive difference between 3 and 4, is there? But, every little counts sometimes. The Texans have secured their division, which might be why they're so big on the point spread here, because when we were talking off air how the plus 5.5 on the Texans looks a little bit big. Ravens minus 5.5, minus 240 on the money line, actually minus 265 now. So they've been backed in the Ravens here. I mean, the points total at 46 could be a dangling carrot for some as well. You said off air that there's a lot of injuries here, which could be quite decisive, especially on the Texans side of things. So talk us through how the injuries might affect this game.
Yeah, so looking at the latest practice report, up to date as of yesterday, Steve, Nelson Aguilar did not practice both. Jalen Armour-Davis, he's the cornerback, did not practice. Daniel Falele, the guard, had not practiced. Zay Jones did not practice. Tre'Davious White did not practice. Now, most of these guys are all listed as questionable, so there's a good chance that they suit up. And Zay Flowers was seen with his arm in a sling after Saturday's game, but there's optimism that he will play. So even though they're listed as pretty banged up, which most teams are at this point, to be fair, they're relatively healthy. But on the Houston side, Jimmy Ward and Tank Dell are both on the IR, as well as starting safety Jalen Petrie. So both starting safeties are out for Houston. That's a big blow this late in the season. They are at home. The line did open, I think, around minus 3.5. It's up to the Ravens are -6 now. As Ming states here in the chat, the momentum is clearly on their side. I mean, they've looked very strong. They've looked very strong in their last two games. I mean, albeit against Pittsburgh and the Giants. I personally, at 6, when you start getting a 6 and 7 with Houston at home, even with their injuries, it is tempting to look. And I have to rerun the model to see. There could be a potential I do back Houston +7, but it's tough either way. Even from a total perspective, Ravens I think have hit the over in 12 out of 15, and Texans have hit the under in 10 out of 15. Ravens have won, I think, the last 3 matches against the Titans, and it's in Houston. So for me, it's at this point, it's a stay away. There are a lot of injuries on both sides, but I think out in terms of players who will be out, there's more on the Houston side. There's a lot to play for them, right? I mean, we're looking at there's a lot to play for Houston here. They have clinched the division, but it's more about Pittsburgh. It's more about Baltimore. Sorry, are they gonna go for the division over Pittsburgh? It all depends on that outcome.
That's important, isn't it? Like, if the Steelers have won
important.
that game, I think both teams here will feel a bit deflated, because realistically, are the Steelers going to lose to the Bengals on the last game? Probably not.
Right.
Funny things can happen, but I think then for both, you're looking at a situation where you don't want to get banged up, do you?
No.
The most important thing. Look at Jalen Hurts at the weekend. Suddenly Philly are flying, and suddenly he's got a concussion. You've got to be careful, haven't you? We talked
about this. I got some chat last week with Philly, and there was one of the fans that was like, "I didn't even mention Philly," but it's like, yeah, they had an unlucky break with Jalen Hurts getting hurt last week. But I mean, Washington put up a hell of a performance on Sunday, and I agree. Like, personally, I'm just being clear. I don't really have a play here in this match. I'm personally not betting on it. I know it's tempting, right? There's 2 NFL matches. You want to try to find an edge in both. There are edges, but really, I wager when I really see a strong edge where I'm very confident on. Nothing's a guaranteed winner, but I feel confident on that. And to be honest, it is Christmas Day, so I might try to throw out a couple free prop plays if I do see any between now and tomorrow's kickoff. So be on the lookout. My Twitter.
I know what market you're going to target, RJ. Color of Beyonce's dress or something at the halftime show, or what song she's going to sing first or close with, because there will be people tuning in for that halftime show here. There is, of course, you can bet on touchdown scorers here as well. And, compared to the other game, there's a lot more shorter odds. Derrick Henry -180 anytime. I mean, I can't remember him actually has hardly not scored a touchdown in this year. Lamar Jackson at +195, that stood out to me as a potential anytime scorer. If they get him in the right positions, it just looked a bit big. I thought he'd be like +150, to be honest. Joe Mixon anytime -136 for the Texans. He will get quite a lot of carries there near the goal line. Again, if you had that free $10 bet, is there a name that stands out, bit of value, or one of the minus money guys worth just backing?
I would go probably anytime, maybe Rashad Bateman. He's got 2 touchdowns in his last two games. And I think there's some good potential for him against that softer secondary for the Texans. So I would probably lean Rashad Bateman if I had that free $10 bet here, Steve. I mean, Mark Andrews is always good. I was on the over prop over the weekend for him. I think it was around 37 yards or 43 yards. I can't recall. But, yeah, I'll go Bateman. Bateman was my final answer here.
Yeah, Mark Andrews +1. He's plus 170. That doesn't look a bad odds there. Paul Laguna suggested there he can be a go-to man. We've got some divisional winners odds that I'm going to just talk to you about before we go as well, RJ, because obviously the division's still on the line. In I think 4 divisions are still at stake. 3 of them could be worth having a look betting on here. I mean, Steelers are actually the dog to win the division, and this is probably because of the matchups. But because you like that +3 against the Chiefs, we're not saying they're going to win the game, but you do like them +3. If they win that game, they're not going to be +123 to beat the Bengals. In fact, they're going to be a lot shorter. Mm-hmm. So, Ravens at -150, Steelers at +123. Would you suggest that the Steelers to win the division at plus money could be potential value here or not?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. It's just do they get through the Chiefs or not, right? Like I said, I do like them to cover, but I don't think I would take that wager. And honestly, I mean, look at Week 18, like Baltimore lines up against Cleveland, which again, Cleveland could just play spoiler, right? They tend to just show up in odd situations, but I'd say there's a little bit of value simply because now Pittsburgh's getting healthier, right? They're getting some key components back to their lineup, and facing Cincinnati at home in Week 18, if they get through the Chiefs, I think there's a strong case for them to take this division. But at +123, I'd want it to be a little bit bigger than that, in my opinion.
The other division, the Lions, there's a lot of people do like the Lions to win the whole thing this year, the whole Super Bowl. I mean, the thing is, this NFC North division is ridiculously close. I mean, it's a hell of a standard. I mean, you got the Lions and Vikings at 13-2 each. Packers are 11-4. I mean, the poor Bears have had no chance, have they, in this division? The Lions are -305, and now at the minute they own the tiebreak. But they, I mean, -305 against the Vikings at +240. I'm just actually checking the schedule as to what they've got. I mean, Vikings go to the Packers. The Lions go, where are the Lions at the weekend? I can't even find it. They got 49ers.
49ers.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then on week 18, they play against each other.
Yep.
The Vikings and
Detroit.
the Lions. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess that's why they're at this price, because they'd be expected to win that game at home. I mean, do you -305 though right now? Aren't you better off just waiting for the return game in week 18?
I think so. If this sets up for the division on the line, they'll flex this game to Sunday Night Football, or maybe a probably Sunday Night Football. That'd be a heck of a game. Minnesota riding the 8-game win streak. It's going to be an awesome football game. But I would say, something's going on.
Is that mouse causing you problems again?
I think it is. Anyways,
you look a bit uneasy there, RJ.
I'm not a big fan. Not a big fan of the mice. But the reality is, it all's going to see how it shakes out this week, right? Like, there could be injuries, unfortunately, just like we've seen over the weekend. Tank Dell getting his knee just smashed in from his own player. Like, I think we have to wait and see what happens in this next match to determine how we want to approach the division winner. I mean, you always risk it now. Why not? Why not go Minnesota? Their form that they're in. I mean, the thing is, Detroit's at home, and that's obviously a tough place to play. But
it's kind of crazy, isn't it? But one of the best teams in the NFL, the Lions, they're going to have to go right the distance to secure their division. I mean, they could end up being. It's a big difference between potentially what it would be the 2 seed, I think, because the Eagles. It might be, sorry, the 1 seed's on the line, isn't it? The 1 seed's on the line actually in the NFC, which massive difference between the 1 seed and the 5 seed. So there's a fair bit of pressure on them there. The other division that is still up for grabs is the NFC South. And now these two teams, I don't believe, have got to play against each other. The Buccaneers and the Falcons. Buccaneers -134, Falcons +110. I mean, this is an awful division, isn't it? And the two teams have only just got a winning record, 8-7. And I'm just looking at the schedule here. I mean, the Buccaneers are -134. They're actually not top of this division right now. They've got the Panthers on week 17, and then the Buccaneers play against the Saints in the final match day. So basically, -134 to beat those two. The Falcons on the final match day are against the Panthers. I mean, they should, both teams you'd think will beat the Panthers, so basically it comes out of Falcons Commanders this Sunday night. And I'm guessing that's why the Falcons are the plus money here, because they're expected to lose to the Commanders. But if they get through that, then +110.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I'd have to go Tampa, just because of the schedule, right? They're at home against New Orleans, the final week of the season. New Orleans obviously showed nothing last night in Lambeau, and in fact, I think it was one of the first shutouts in a while. And I would stick with Tampa there, Steve. That's probably the easiest identified opportunity there. But again, it's -134. So
yeah. I know there's people out there who like to bet on futures, though, so the options are there. Just go through the comments here. I think that producer behind the background, Troy there. Derrick Henry hasn't scored in 4 straight games. I can't believe that. Off the top of my head, I feel like he's had some massive games. Well, he has with yardages, but that's certainly the -180 might not look as appealing. Although if you're doing like martingale systems and stuff, then you would say he's due. Bastian's on about the Warriors and the NBA. So he's looking to bet on them. The Godfather says all the favourites, college and pro, won and covered the spread this past weekend. Took a big hit, but it won't last. And Paul Lagoon's on about seedings, placings, and that's the thing now. It's all about who you want to play, perhaps, or what number seed is you're best at to close out the season with. But well, that will do. That's it for Christmas Day. Good luck if you are betting on anything the rest of today. There's hardly anything around worldwide that's even you probably were scraping the barrel today, RJ. And Christmas Day betting, and then I'm sure you'll be following the Boxing Day cards with interest over here in Europe. RJ, some big fixtures. Will you be dabbling the Premier League, do you think, or more lower league?
TBD. I do have some games pegged for Boxing Day, so I'm looking forward to it, and that'll be a day I'm sure that everyone kind of unloads after, I think, 2 quiet days of betting. Interesting to see, how Manchester City bounces back at home against Everton, right? I don't know how you feel about.
Would you trust Manchester City at the minute?
No.
You wouldn't. I mean, no one's trusting Manchester City right now.
Why would you?
I think that's the first game on Boxing Day, actually. The early kickoff. Yeah, it is the very early kickoff.
7:30 a.m. Eastern time. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you got to join Betting Weekly Live at 9:30 Eastern. Me and Nigel are on the show. We're going to be going through for 2.5 hours, covering all the 5 games that are live at 3 p.m. local, 10 a.m. on the Eastern time, including Newcastle Villa, Nottingham Forest against Spurs. But we're going to be breaking down the games, giving you the best in running plays, halftime analysis, stuff like that. Do join us. Hopefully, with a bit of fun, quite exciting as well. Keep you company if you've got nothing else to do on your Boxing Day morning or afternoon. But I do want to take this chance to wish all of the followers, anyone who's watched these shows this year, the very best of Christmas. Very Merry Christmas this year. Happy holidays, however you celebrate it, and appreciate all your support.
Likewise, Steve, it's been a great year. I always enjoy connecting with you on these shows and with the entire Because We Win team. I want to, make sure we give everyone a enjoyable, safe, happy, Merry Christmas, happy holiday season, and really enjoy the time with family and friends, right? Every day is a blessing, so appreciate it, and look forward to coming back. I'll see you again in New Year's Eve, and such. So, but in the meantime, enjoy the time off, Steve. If you do have some with family and friends, and let's hopefully start Christmas off right with the winter in Pittsburgh here.
Yeah, I'm doing a bit of cooking tomorrow morning. Actually, I've been tasked with cooking, not the turkey. They wouldn't trust me with that, but a certain beef joint, and so I'm hoping to do a good job with that.
Like a beef Wellington, or what do you?
Well, no, it's I've not actually seen it yet. I think my mother has it in her freezer. But apparently it's a prime joint of beef, which I have been tasked with cooking correctly. And I'm quite good. I'm not the greatest cook in the world, but I'm not bad with certain beef is probably my specialty. I can cook a good steak.
Well, there's a little bit of pressure, Steve, right? You gotta make sure it comes out right for the family, right? So,
yes,
but I got confidence you'll be good. Yeah. I'm looking forward to I think we're having ham and turkey, right? A little bit of each, and we go from there on to dessert.
And yes, if I can actually find Paul Laguna, that's one of my tasks over Christmas. I want to improve my backdrop, but this is the Ravens. Paul Laguna made this for me, along with another brilliant logo. So I'll be cheering on Christmas Day. And
that's beautiful. That's a nice gift from Paul there, and
it was beautiful.
And Rich knows about the mouse. Yeah, I just saw him. I seen him. I got my eye on him. He just went under the door. So after this, it's it's
a bit late for a present. I know what present I'd get you. I'd get you a bloody mouse trap. That's what you need there, or a cat. Because you looked a bit uneasy there with that mouse going on in the background. Shakespeare has come up with this. Man's been on fire whenever he's.
I know he has. Under, like I said, I mean, I don't have a play here, but I did. I would say lean under.
I like the under as well. It just feels an under game, doesn't it? Like a tight. My only concern is these defenses. There may well be a pick six in this game somewhere or something, but yeah, Shakespeare says under 44. You got to go with it, right? I say best luck to everyone betting over the Christmas break, and I'll see you Boxing Day with Nigel 9:30 Eastern, earlier than normal for the live betcast, as we're calling it. But so yeah, take care, RJ, and I'll look forward to doing our Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve show with you. And have a great Christmas all. See you next time on Betting Weekly Live. Goodbye, and remember to gamble responsibly. Take care.
Take care.